Oh, what do you know? 2 a.m. Time to check in for my flight tomorrow. I'll do it later. We'll wait a few more minutes. This is gonna be fun. So, fun, interesting story while we're waiting. As you guys probably know, or maybe you've heard, or whatever, I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I was sent out here to Pottstown. I want to say about 10 years ago. I think it was year 2 of Bark for Life, 2 or 3, to be on a committee to take it national. And so Rule Johnson came, we had a bunch of dignitaries and everything. And so they sent me out here, and I'm staying in the exact same hotel I stayed in. I went, okay, I hope that doesn't mean I've come full circle and I'm done. But yeah, that was very, very, very cool seeing the Bark for Life. I learned millions of great things, but one of the things I learned specifically from that is dogs just really don't care who's up on stage talking. And which was really good because I was tasked with taking Bark for Life to the 12 Western states, and I did that summer. And that was one of the very first things. And everybody's like, "Oh, well, this is going to be so great. We're going to have this person speaking, this person speaking, this person speaking." I said, "Yeah, knock yourself out. The dogs aren't going to listen to any of it." As a matter of fact, sniffing and peeing will be the order of the day. Okay, I think we're about ready.
Yeah.
All right, so good morning, Relayers!
Good morning.
My name is J.D. Drollinger, and I'm a volunteer for the American Cancer Society, and luckily I got the chance to come out here and spend the day with you today. This morning, we're going to go through stories, and I'm going to tell you a lot of stories, and I want to hear a lot of stories from you guys also. Okay, so this is going to be all about sharing, because apparently sharing is caring. And so we're going to talk about a lot of stories, and the very first story I want to take you through right now is, well, I want you to all close your eyes. I'll stand way back here by the balloons so you don't. I want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to take you on a trip, okay? And I can see if your eyes are open, okay? So I'm going to take you on a trip right now, and so it's a Friday afternoon. And everybody's at home. It's the middle of the summer, and it's a fabulous day out. And everybody's at home, and they've got all the things packed up for the weekend. They've got them all sitting there by the door. And all of a sudden, Dad comes home. Yes, this is a stereotypic family. Dad comes home from work. He jumps out of the car. The family's there. Oh, are we ready to go? Are we ready to go? Yes, yeah. Let me get changed, and we'll get going. Everybody puts everything into the car. They get all ready. They jump into the car. They put on the music because it's going to be fun. They put on the music because it's going to be a great day. They take off, and off they go to the park. And all of a sudden, they get to the park, and they go and they find a place to park, and they're greeted by their friends they haven't seen in a year. And it's been a lot of fun. And they come and they're greeted. They say, come this way. And they start walking into the park. And they look over to the right. And all of a sudden there's a bunch of wagons. And it's able to help get stuff. And there's also some wheelchairs over at the right-hand side. And they keep going. And what do you know? There's information right there. And it's all the information that's going to happen throughout the day, where everything is located, where everything is going to be. And they keep going, and there's more stuff. There's the store right there. And they can buy ponchos, and they can get some cameras, and they can get everything going on for the rest of the day. And they keep going, and they see more friends, and more friends, and more friends. And they go, and they finally find a spot to be able to sit and relax. And so they're sitting and relaxing, and as they are, they're smelling. As I took a drink, because you couldn't see it with your eyes closed. And they get the good smells out there. And they're smelling all these great smells. They're like, oh man, this just smells like great life. And then they're sitting there listening, and they've got the loud music that's going on that really they only hear once a year when they come right to this place. And it's just so much fun. And as they're walking by, all the friends come walking by and give them hugs. And it's like, oh, so great to see you. And sure enough, they just get ready, and here comes a whole group of people walking by, and they're standing there cheering them as they walk by, and they're looking at everything, and they're just Oh, this is the greatest time ever. Okay, open your eyes. Where were we? No. Yeah, don't be saying, there is no cheating. For those of you that were there before, all our Lancaster peeps, no cheating. Where were we? Relay. Well, we're going to talk about Relay today, but actually where we were at Disneyland. Or here on the East Coast, Disney World. I've never been able to go there yet. But we were at Disneyland. Okay, because that's exactly what happens at Disneyland. And we're going to talk a lot about Disneyland today. Because what we're going to talk about today is rebuilding our relays. Okay, creating it to the spot. If you remember looking at the title, I can't describe it, you just have to join me. That needs to be the talk around the water cooler on Monday mornings. When everybody's standing around the water cooler is when they used to have breaks. When I get to, you might as well Google right now when I get to rotary phone. Around the water cooler talk on Monday mornings, that's what we need to have. When somebody comes and says, hey, how was your weekend at Relay? You're going to say, well, we did, oh, I can't describe it. You're just going to have to come with me. And that's what happens at Disney. Okay, that's what happens at Disneyland. And how many of you here have been to Disney? Perfect, just about everybody. So you know what I was talking about. When you walk into Disney, and like I said, I want to talk about Disneyland because that's what I know. Okay, when you walk into Disneyland, you walk in through the main gate. And if you look back here on this map, you look at all around Disneyland, there is a berm with a whole bunch of high trees. And you can only get in it the one way through Main Street. Okay? That's because the real world goes away. And that's what happens at Relay. When people walk into Relay, the real world goes away. That's what we do. Okay? At Disneyland, human nature is that you always go to the right. Human nature says, I'm always going to go to the right. And Disney's done a lot of research and a lot of work and everything to know that. So on the right-hand side, going down Main Street, I'll run up here real quick. Because I didn't get my exercise in this morning. Going down here on Main Street, when you come in here, right here, strollers, wheelchairs, those little things that we put our kids into that are baskets and stuff, okay? You keep going around there, the bathrooms, the telephones, everything that you would need right at that point in time. When we keep going up around Main Street here, that's where you have the gift stores for things that you need going in. If it's raining, they've got a plethora of ponchos and jackets and windbreakers and sweatshirts. If it's sunny outside, they've got the hats and they've got the sunscreen and they've got the chapstick and all of that. But as you go in, everything you need going in is on the right-hand side. It's on the right-hand side going all the way in. And they've got the information. They've got information for where everything is. Where is Mickey today? Okay? Where is this? Where is that? They have all of our information. Okay? As you leave Disney, you've been there an entire day. And this is another thing to think about. Everything I'm going to tell you today is stuff that you want to think about and take back to your committees to say, we need to talk about this for our relay. Okay? When you leave Disney, you come down Main Street, again, everything is on the right-hand side to go out of Disney. The snack concessions, because you've either eaten way too much or you haven't eaten anything. Okay? So all of the cool snack concessions are. All of the confectionaries are there. The cookie store, where they're making the homemade cookies, and I'm going to show you a picture of that in a few minutes, and it's going to make your mouth water. Down here, we've got City Hall, there where it says 3 and 5. It's a newspaper stand. When we used to have newspaper, It's a little thing with the black. We used to have the newspapers and stuff like that, the newspaper stands, and that would be from the daily news. Because when you go into Disney, you forget about the outside world. What's happening outside. Okay? That's what our relay needs to be. How many times have we done that? How many times do we have a relay like this? And I don't even know which one this is. Okay? But I imagine probably one or two of them around here are similar to this. Okay? I actually have a really, really good story about this at the very end that I'll tell you. But a relay like this. Do people know where things are? Where do we come in at? Where's the entrance spot? Where is the spot where people are being welcomed? Where's the spot where you've got all of the wheelbarrows, you've got all the wagons, you've got everything, you've got the people helping you to take your stuff to your tent site? Where's the spots with the little, what do they call them, gators, to drive everybody out there and those type of things? Where's the map that tells you what on-site fundraising is happening at which spots? And here's another thing I challenge you to do, and everything will be challenges today. Here's another thing. When you get all of your tents ready and you start going into it, and you know in like a month before, you find out what is all the on-site fundraising, and then instead of putting your tent sites where people want to be, you start arranging your tent sites according to the on-site fundraising. And start thinking about it as we're going around the track. You know, think about it as you're like in Disney. As we're going around the track, well, I will put the lap beads here at the very first, right by the start finish. And then I would put maybe the brownie cookies. And then I would put the yoga mats. And then I would put the Zumbas and, you know, whatever, you know. But think about doing it in an organized fashion that people don't understand why they were placed there. But near the end, they'll start figuring out, oh, I went to this, and then that helped me build on. I went to this, and that helped me build on. I went to this. You know, if it was me, the tutus would be right up front, but that's besides the point. So, you know, what is our reason for? By the way, none of this is rhetorical. Okay, what is our reason for being? To fund the mission, or maybe to finish the fight. How are we going to do that? Okay, you guys won't get this, I'll just go through it. How are we going to do that? By our education, our advocacy, our research, and our services. By the way, do you guys remember? You guys know how to remember that?
Reese. Ears.
Ears. Yeah. If you ever wonder what is the real mission of the, you know, how do we do what we do? Just grab your ears. Education, advocacy, research, and services. But how are we going to do our education, advocacy, and research? By raising those much-needed funds, just like we said. Okay? How are we going to raise those much-needed funds? By creating the experience, okay, that people want to support. How are we going to do that? By providing outstanding customer experience. Originally, I had this as customer support. Okay? But it's really not about the customer support. As you guys know, I was in the accident today. I called. They gave me great customer support. Was it a great experience? Not so much. Okay? We need to provide that experience. Okay? Because of that, we need to make sure that they're having that Monday morning water cooler conversation. Okay? And how do we do that? By putting everything about the customer first. Okay? Too much time we've spent at relays and putting all of our relays together of thinking, well, I need to do this because, I need to do this because, I need to do this because, I need to do this because. Okay? And we're thinking of it as an ELT position. Do we ever think of it as a relayer position? Okay? I'll give you a prime example. When your survivors take off on the survivor lap, what do you do? Not rhetorical. Clap. Where do you clap?
The edge of the track.
The edge of the track, around the entire track. Okay? And I've put this out to Lancaster. Invite me back. We'll get somebody else to rent a car. And for the survivor lap, I've totally changed the survivor laps in the Washington area for all the relays I go to. And I get chastised for it right at the beginning when people don't know and understand. I don't allow anybody to go around the track. I keep everybody tight right up to the start-finish line. And I send the survivors out by themselves. Okay? I send them out by themselves and I start talking the story because I bet you never ever think about the survivor lap being about the cancer journey. But it's exactly about the cancer journey. We're sending our survivors out and they're starting out by themselves and they don't know what's going to happen. They head out around that first turn and they're just thinking, oh my God, it is so long, I've got to go all that ways. And that's exactly what their journey is all about. And they have no clue what's happening behind them. Okay? And then they start heading out that backstretch and they start becoming into their new normal. I'm going to treatments every day. I get Road to Recovery every day. I get this every day for the next 9 weeks. I'm doing this every single day. And it becomes a new normal. And then they start heading around that clubhouse turn and they start turning around and they start finding out, hey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, by the way, while they've been walking and not knowing what's going on over here, I've created a spirit tunnel. And I've had everybody line up, and I have a lineup so tight that they literally are 1 lane wide. You literally are shoulder to shoulder. And everybody is that tight. And I want hugs, and I want pats on the backs, and I want high fives. Because when our survivors come through that list, they need to feel the love that is with them every step of the way. They need to feel that. They need to know when they're coming around that clubhouse turn, they have no idea why they're out there by themselves. But they know that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. And they come around that clubhouse turn, and they look and they see everybody smiling and clapping and patting them on the back and giving them hugs. I've had opening survivor lap ceremonies take 30 minutes to get all the survivors just through that because everybody's giving hugs. And you know what? That last person that had to wait that 30 minutes is building with so much excitement and anticipation, they can't hold it back. They get to the end of it and somebody puts a medal around their neck. And they know that they are supported and they are loved. That is taking the customer first. That is putting those survivors first. It's great to have them walking around the track. But when they walk around the track and somebody's like, thanks so much, I'm so proud of you, thank you. That's a customer experience. First time I did that at a really, really large relay, it was in the Relay for Life of Eugene in Oregon. And it was too big. I'm just going to throw it out there. It was too big. People didn't know ceremonies were going on. It was so big. And I got everybody, and we were there, and I was walking around in the Luminaria lab about 10 o'clock at night. And we were walking around and just coming by the entranceway, and one of the guys in front of us saw one of his friends that just walked in. Just totally coincidental. And he was a survivor. He walks in, he goes, oh, Curry. So we're now about 10 feet behind him. He goes, you are not going to believe this survivor lap. It was the best thing I've ever been to in my life. Customer experience. What is going to be talked about Monday morning at the water cooler? That's what we're going to talk about because I know if I leave the lid off of this, your lid is going to get wet. So are you guys ready to climb on top of the customer experience? Yeah. So this was I do a lot with the collegiate events. I do a lot with a lot of events, but this is our University of Washington, which just won the game last night, and we headed to the Rose Bowl. And they did a tower climb, and it is 12 floors. And I work out regularly every morning. I'm up at 3:30 every morning in the gym and those type of things. And so when they asked me if I would help this out, I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm in great shape. Piece of cake. And 2 weeks before that, I thought, yeah, I better get on that stair machine. And so I got on the stair machine, okay? And I'm up to like 60 floors. Not a problem. Piece of cake. I can do this. That's what I look like at the beginning. Here in about an hour will look like what I look like when I got done. So you heard me talk about Disney, and we're going to talk a lot more about it. I'm a graduate of the Disney Institute, and since last we talked, Angie, I have turned in another business case to my boss at Boeing. I work for the Boeing company. I've worked there for just under 30 years. To go to the Disney Institute again for a new class of employee engagement, and they approved it. So I've gotten Boeing. Now I'll have Boeing to send me to Disneyland for all expense paid trip for at least 3 days, twice. And so a lot of the stuff, and my wife will tell you all the time, it literally changed my life about how I look at things, how I treat people, how I interact with people. But one of the things that they do is they have the keys to quality service. So when you get there, one of the very first things that they do is they give you, as an employee, so when you get hired on as an employee, one of the first things they do is they give you this card, okay? And it's, on one side of it, it has the code of guest services. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But on the other side, it has the 4 keys to guest services, okay? And those keys are quality service. Those keys are safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency in that order. And what they do is they have said, at Disney, they have said, these are our priorities in that order. And so you now are empowered to make a decision based upon these keys. You can make a decision and you will not get in trouble whatsoever based upon these. Okay, so as an example, and this was the example given in the class, the kid that was there, there was a kid, young kid, they have all ages, and there was a young kid, and he was on one of the rides, and they wanted to get people loaded. What they say, they needed 50 people loaded every minute into the ride. Yeah, so it's going rather quickly, okay, to get, because they've worked their queue times, all the rest of that stuff. So they had to get that people loaded, and to slow it down the ride would kill their efficiencies. And he saw a gentleman coming up in a walker. And he knew there was no way he was getting that guy on that ride in the amount of time that they needed. So he went over and he slowed it down. Slowed down the ride, which, you know, slows down everything the whole way and stuff. The guy in the walker gets on, they take the walker and take it over and stuff like that. They send that car on the way, and he went and turned it back up. And he knew that, you know, when X number of minutes they would be back, and he went and turned it back down. And they went and got the walker for the guy, and the guy got out, and they walked over, and he went and turned it back up. Okay? That hour, that killed their efficiency rating for that hour. But what it did is it helped with the top 2, safety and courtesy. That kid didn't get in trouble, he got patted on the back. Good job for killing our efficiency because you were looking out for that. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at your table, I wrote this up before I realized we were moving in here. So at your table, so I'm assuming if you guys are like normal relayers, you've set together pretty much with your group. But I want you to start talking about, and we're going to write down here in a few minutes. I'm going to actually only give you about 5 minutes. And I want you to start talking about what are your keys to quality service. So when you go back and you have your next ELT meeting and you do this exercise with them, you say, guys, what are our keys to having a quality relay? Other words, what do we care about so much for our relay that anybody on our ELT can make that decision, and no matter what it does to the rest of the relay, we're going to pat them on the back. Okay? So what are our keys for doing that? So go ahead and talk amongst yourself, and we're going to write them down here in a minute. So you've got about 5 minutes.
I like safety being top of the list. We're struggling. Mission?
So what are you thinking?
Sharing the society mission. With everybody? More money. Money's a good one. I don't know if I'd put that above mission or below. Yeah, probably.
Toughy, isn't it? It is.
Just making new friends here. You
Yeah, but, so if you're making a decision on fun over something else, how are you going to make that decision? Because what's fun for you,
May not be fun for everybody else.
what I've seen or what I'm
just a thought.
experiencing now.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Just think about how you would do.
Fun is at the bottom of the list then?
No, I would probably put fun at the top. But think about how you're going to caveat that. If you're going to say, okay, we're going to do this for fun. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and let's get the reptile man to come and set up the stage over on one side. Yeah, but be thinking about those things. That's part of it.
Yes, you don't get the reflection back.
We actually had to get a cease and desist and not have him come.
Really? I love reptiles.
I can be courteous.
No, Jennifer. I hate roaches.
Yeah, fun for all is a good qualifier.
It's hard to find stuff that's fun for all. I think that you gotta have a variety and not have fun for all.
Another play. Okay. What, so, what are you guys coming up with?
Right,
Variety.
yeah, right. Variety.
Variety of fun. Could you combine those two?
Okay, so that should be one. Somebody should be writing that.
You would say variety. Cover. That would cover. Right, exactly.
So, education would
Do something more specific to survivors.
What would something else be? Support. What does support mean?
But I think that's probably the bottom
Seeing where
because you do all the other stuff right. That'll just have fun.
Actually, it will.
That'll
If I'm not getting good support from my friends, I'm going
So a lot of our like aquaponics and stuff perform
support is good.
for our and so like that's like one big thing is that like when we get pizza donated, they get first right to the pizza. Just to make sure that they're
I'll give you a great example.
or that all the survivors come, they obviously like give baskets and stuff like that to make sure that they're and that they give them
Maybe recognition. If you had to summarize it in one word at like multiple levels for general participants, for survivors, for caregivers.
that covers everybody.
And then, because the thing is that if you take care of that, then they'll feel like
You saved yourself.
People are feeling appreciated and recognized.
What were they thinking of the customer experience and offers? They're under attack.
Now I do like share.
And everybody else.
What's that?
So,
I came from Northeastern University. I came from the Northeastern University Relay in Boston now.
adaptability is great. Okay. Another key might be to think about for lack of better word, what is the essence of the ceremony? Change and stuff like that.
I think you know we got a fun Yeah, right there you go. We want to make sure everybody has the best. So what do you have so far? So that there is water on Monday. Oh my God.
I think maybe like one safety I like.
I think so.
I think safety goals first.
Yeah.
Yeah, slow down first. Yeah,
But my goal
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? I think because
another one is walking. Everybody needs to be walking. We need to have some.
you ever been to like a party?
Think about that.
You don't care about everything else that happens.
Again, not all the time.
Right? You go home and you're like, oh my God.
All right, like they do in ice hockey. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Which is more important, recognition or mission? I think to get people to, okay, right. But I feel like
But if people leave the
recognition kind
event
of goes
feeling
back
crappy
to
about
there.
it,
And then most people don't feel like treasured, they complain it's all about the money. To be honest. I'm sure I would have heard it anyway.
I might put recognition
Very accessible.
in a
In
similar
that one,
vein.
I'm torn. I know funding is
Like if we're focusing on this list of things that define the customer experience or the good customer quality, I would say recognition is above fundraising. Because if you, yeah, like if people.
All right, let's go ahead and come on back. We're gonna write some of these ideas down because sharing is caring, and it's good to have for everybody. As I was also talking with a couple of groups.
Behind you.
Sorry. The peanut gallery was speaking.
You can't
Or
get
find
good.
good help.
You can't get good help.
She didn't pay him.
Ones that can be here on time. As I was talking, we're going to talk through, so I want you to throw out some suggestions, because everybody can have a lot of different ones, and we're going to talk through them a little bit, okay? Because we found a couple great examples, but again, we're using them as a decision-making type tool for your ELT. So we'll start over here, back here. What was one good one you thought?
Like every 4 to 6 hours, have your leaders meet and get remotivated.
Oh, okay.
With ours, after a while, it's we're so scattered.
Mm-hmm.
It's and you just feel so frustrated and just
Okay.
you get drained. So it's
Excellent. I know.
to build everybody
Yep.
back up.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So let's put down, and I'm going to throw a term out for you, and I'm an IT guy. Let's put down Leaders Scrum. What?
I'm not an IT guy.
Perfect. A scrum is where you have a quick 15-minute meeting. It's a lot of people also call them stand-ups, and they are you literally stand there, because if you sit down, then everybody gets relaxed. And there's 3 questions they ask. What did you do? What do you need to do? And what do you need help with? And so, just like what you were saying, it's great. Have and I will put there Leader Scrum